Whew, okay. Hello everyone, Brenton here from It's Hockey Night. As the title suggests, this is a recap of the entire Chicago Blackhawks season, going for just before the NHL draft in 2019 to today when they got eliminated by the Golden Knights. I know, sad, but I mean this team overachieved. They eliminated the Oilers and they got their first playoff wins. They last won a cup, so there's something to write home about, I guess. So let's run through everything that they did and then we'll give them a grade at the end of the season. Now, I'm obviously not going to mention very small, minor things that this team did, and we'll kind of get the players as they kind of come up. We're also not going to go too much with their season stats. They weren't amazing, this entire team, so yeah. So, the season started with them moving up in the draft lottery. They got to pick third overall, pushing a few teams down. They weren't the other mover was the New York Rangers, who I did a recap on, that you can go watch as well. It'll be in this recap playlist. They managed to pick up Kirby Dutch, or Duck, or there's 9,000 ways to pronounce it. They picked him up in the draft, who was a handy player from the outset for this team, and I think, like in the playoffs, really showed that he is a player to look forward to in the future. So, I know there's one eye on a rebuild, but that was an exciting moment for this team and something that will really help everything going forward. The Penguins and the Blackhawks made a trade on June the 15th, just before that draft, where they picked up Olli Mata, where he was a pretty serviceable defenseman, and I think he got 6 playoff points. This player, the play-ins in the playoff round, so he was handy for Dominic Cahoon and a 5th round pick that went to the Penguins. So overall, they probably won that trade. They picked up John Quenneville. Grenville, right? It's somewhat notable, but yeah. They re-got Andrew Shaw, who ended up getting injured, which is unfortunate. He dealt with some concussion problems, but for the games that he did play, he managed to get... For the 26 games he did play, he did get 10 points. He was around there at the start. This team was just constantly dropping games very early on, so his departure didn't really affect the team too much. They picked up Alexander Nylander on July the 9th. So that was a pretty, it's been a handy little move for them. They jettisoned Nisimov for Zach Smith, who played 50 games, only got 11 points, wasn't really very notable on the ice out there. And yeah, that was most of July. And that was July for the trades. They got Kokyo, QQ. They signed him on a 1-year deal. He was handy this season. Kubalik, who was a revelation this year. 46 points in 68 games, led all the forwards, and he's got a Calder nomination, so led all the rookie forwards in scoring. So he was very handy this year. So that was that worked out pretty well. A free agency, probably the biggest signing was Robin Lehner, especially with Crawford's injury problems, which persisted throughout the year again. He was a very handy player that they would trade down the road for assets. Which is all the game at the moment, is just picking up assets. And then just before the season started, they got Perlini sorted on a 1-year deal, and DeBrincat signed a 3-year extension at $6.4 million per. And he had a bit of a down year with scoring, but if you look at the stats, everyone that was 5'8" and smaller regressed last year, except for like 1 or 2 of the players. But scoring overall, I think in the league, they were all averaging about 0.4 goals a game, and it all went down to 0.25. I don't know why, but everyone that was 5'8" seemed to have struggled in the regular season, so he was a victim of that. So still mightn't be a terrible deal. Even if you've overpaid for the next 2 years, you've overpaid for the next 2 years. And, that pretty much brings us to the start of the season, and boy, howdy was it not a fun time for this team. Start of the season did not go well for this team. They lost their first 3 games of the season, and it looked like they were just going to have problems all year long. They were 3-8 for the month of October and were heavily outscored multiple times. The number 5 comes up 3 times in that month and not that many games. So they were letting in goals like a sieve, and it really showed that they were going to have problems this year. They also struggled in scoring. 2 shutouts in that time, 4 games with only 1 goal being scored by them. It just looked, all in all, they weren't going to be a very good team this year. November was a little bit better, 6 wins, 8 losses. Still the same things popped up, but they were able to score a bit more. which was good. There was only two games that month where they got 1 goal for and 1 shutout for as well. But again, they just couldn't stop it being put into their net. Again, a few 5s, even a 7. I mean, they managed to score 7 in a game, but it just was this common thread. They're just letting in too many goals. It's always 3 or more, 4, a fair few 5s. It's just a sign that this team was really struggling. And they never really bounced back from that point. And that's what I wanted to break down was the first 2 months. They just were below 500, and that's the way they kind of went throughout the whole season. They never really got it going this whole year. Pat Kane, however, did hit a milestone of 1,000 points in January, so that was something that we definitely need to celebrate for a moment. 1,000 points is an unreal achievement in this league, and he was the real bright light for this team this year. Paddy Kane getting 84 points off 70 games. Also, Jonathan Taves, who was very good in the Edmonton series, as well as the regular season, 70 games, 60 points, showed that he is not quite done yet. However, there were some players that kind of regressed. Duncan Keith, obviously that contract is not helpful, but it's better than the Seabrook deal, which is a real problem for this team, and it's going to be hard for them to sort of be able to get out from under. I have a feeling they're going to try IR him and put him on Robert Island. They were, however, able to make some small trades up until the deadline. Again, they're nowhere near a playoff position at this point. The only reason they were obviously in the dance was because of the play-in rounds because of COVID before the pause. But they managed to get rid of Eric Gustafsson, got a 3rd-round pick for that. They traded away Nathan Nolan for TJ Brennan, and probably the bigger deal was Robin Lehner. They managed to get Malcolm Subban in that deal. I mean, that was more just to play the backup role. He had a chance to kind of shine this year. Didn't really happen, especially while Crawford was out. I don't know if there's a starter there. I just don't think he'll ever get the chance to blossom as a starter in this league. They got a defensive prospect in Demon. He's university at the moment, but all accounts a pretty good, handy defenseman. In the 4th round 2 years ago, big body. Could be a handy 4th defenseman. I would say that would probably be his peak, but I guess time will tell on that one. He's only 20 years old, so there's a lot of time there. And the 2020 2nd-round pick, so they got another pick to take this year. When the pause happened, they just were above a 500 team. They were 32 wins, 30 losses, 8 overtime losses for 72 points. They're 1 spot above Montreal, so they weren't the worst team in the play-in rounds, although the bottom 3 all made it into the next round, so that was fun in Montreal, Chicago, and Arizona, so I guess don't sleep on that too much. They got into the play-in rounds. Seabrook decided not to go with the team into the bubble. Crawford didn't train very much and didn't look like he was going to be ready, but he was able to play, which was great. I mean, he was the main reason that they had any chance in those Vegas games. He really kept them in there. This is where this is probably the last time for a little while that you'll be able to celebrate as a Blackhawks fan. It wasn't a great season this year. I think everyone is fair with that, outside of the little moments of Paddy Kane getting 1,000 points, for instance. It wasn't the greatest season to watch. I think we can all agree there. The defense is lacking. They don't have a lot of depth on offense, although it's definitely getting better. And it's part of the whole, they won 3 cups, right? Like, eventually, you can't win all the time. It's better to do this than go the Red Wings route, where you just really try to make the playoffs and keep trading away assets, but don't make it. However, this team, this is kind of the swan song for some of these players, at least in a Chicago uniform. It's probably the last time that you'll see any of these players. Some of the, Duncan Keith, for instance, I don't think you'll see him in the playoffs again, at least for a Blackhawk franchise. I could be wrong. And they won the series against Edmonton, which was amazing. It was probably one of the better series to watch because there were just so many goals. 2 games were won by 6 goals. The last 2 were decided by a goal. They won 3 games to 1. Winning the first game, then Edmonton tied the series, and you're kind of like, all right, well, Edmonton's going to win this. They got 1 game, they're definitely going to win, and then they just pop the next 2 away. And it was just so good to just watch a team just with that resolve. And that's the one thing that's just ingrained in this franchise, I think, for a very long time, is that resolve come the playoffs of just never give up and just keep going out there and trying to see what you can do. And they then moved on and played Vegas, which obviously eliminated them, thus being the recap video. But they really gave them a run for their money. all year. Oh, like every game, they really were annoying. Outside of maybe the first one, they were just annoying, and they never went away. 3 of these games were won by a goal difference by Vegas, and that just lets you know how close this was. Even though Vegas dominated bits, Corey Crawford was their best player, bar none. He was just their best player, but they looked really, really good. They obviously didn't have Shaw as well. He opted not to go to the bubble. But yeah, they looked as good as they could with this lineup. I really like Olli Mata. He really stepped it up. And of course, this is the guy that has several, and that's an understatement, Olli Mata Penguin jerseys. Yeah, I think he looked really good. There's some exciting things. Kirby looks great. Like, I think there's a superstar there. Nylander didn't play poorly this year. Yeah, there's things to definitely look forward to. So, yeah, what do they do in this next year? I mean, Corey Crawford's up, so Lord knows what they do there. They've got Subban. They can, throw it to him. But I think they were pretty sensible this year in not trading away anything to be competitive. Getting as many assets as you can, and then really, really kicking this rebuild into the next notch. I think that's smart. I like the Cuckoo trade. They're trying to bring in players. Marta, they got pretty cheap for him. Kubalik, there's another player there that stepped up this year. There's a fair few players in this team that are very attractive. For their future upside. They've got all their draft picks pretty much. If not, they've been able to trade to get them back. So they've got a full list plus an extra third this year, 3rd round pick. They're missing their 7th round, but they've got 2 7 rounds next year. So that's fun. Yeah. So overall this season, I give this team like probably a B or a B plus. It's really hard to go the rebuild route. It really is. And this year, they eliminated a team in the play-in rounds that they really had no business beating. They really gave a run for their money to a team that could well and truly win the Stanley Cup. Like, they may go all the way. So, and they didn't trade away any assets. They didn't blow up the team. They kept true to a lot of these players that had some value, in the sense that it's like, no, you're a Hawk. Let's keep it going. Kane getting his 1,000 points again, I mentioned, that's great. But yeah, obviously, like with these contracts that they have signed, some of these, they're just not going to be competitive for a long time. But now's the time to kind of, get the draft picks, keep being smart with the draft. You're not going to go up every year, but you're just going to be smart with it, and then and see what happens. They also have some prospects in the closet that are starting to come good. We'll kind of go through that in another video about next season and what's on the horizon for a lot of these teams. I just wanted to recap this whole year from woe to go. So hopefully you did enjoy that. If you did like this video, hit the like button. Always hit subscribe if you made it all this way and you haven't subscribed. We're slowly growing this thing. I think we're on 146 now. So moving it up, which has been, it's been incredible. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See you, and bye.